It's kind of wild to think about how something as simple as choosing a color can either be a welcoming handshake to a user or a locked door. It's a huge part of web design that honestly gets missed all the time. So today, we're going to dig into why it matters so much and, more importantly, how to actually get it right. Okay, just look at this for a second. On the left, you've got red text on a blue background. Yikes, right? It actually kind of hurts to look at. But the version on the right, super clear, easy to read. That right there is the problem of bad color contrast in a nutshell. It's the difference between a user staying on your site or just giving up and leaving. So how do we know what works and what doesn't? I mean, it can't just be a matter of opinion, can it? Well, it's not. Thankfully, there's a global standard for this stuff. It's called the Web Content Accessibility Guidelines, or what everyone just calls WCAG. This is the rulebook for making the web work for everybody. Now, the science behind all these rules really comes down to one core idea, the luminance contrast ratio. It sounds super technical, but it's just a fancy way of measuring the difference in brightness between two colors. The scale goes from 1 to 1, which is 0 contrast, think white text on a white background, all the way up to 21 to 1, which is the maximum contrast you can get, pure block on pure white. And that ratio is what tells us if we're meeting the standards. You'll hear about two main levels, AA and AAA. The easiest way to think about it is this. AA is the standard you need to meet. It's often the legal requirement and makes your site usable for most people. AAA, on the other hand, is the gold standard. It's that extra step for enhanced accessibility. All right, here are the magic numbers. For that AA compliance, you need a ratio of at least 4.5 to 1 for normal size text. But look, for large text, the requirement drops to just 3 to 1. Why? Well, it's just plain easier to read when it's bigger, so it doesn't need quite as much contrast. And as you can see, the AAA level bumps those requirements way up. Okay, so we've been talking about numbers and ratios, and it's easy to get lost in the technical details. But it's so important to remember why these rules exist. They're not just abstract specs. They're for real people, millions of them, who see the world and your website very differently. And this is not a small niche group we're talking about. About 8% of men across the globe have some kind of color vision deficiency. That's about 1 in every 12. So if you get just a dozen male visitors to your site, odds are one of them is struggling if you've only used color to get your point across. Also, the term colorblindness is a bit of a catch-all. It's not just one thing. As you can see from this chart, most cases fall under Deuteranopia and Protanopia, which are types of red-green colorblindness. Then you have much rarer forms like Tritanopia, which messes with blue and yellow, and even Achromatopsia, which is seeing in black and white. Let's just focus on the most common one, Deuteranopia. It affects about 6% of men. For someone with this, reds and greens can look like these dull, almost brownish yellow shades. Now, imagine you have a bright red error message. To them, that critical warning might just blend right into the background. It's basically invisible. You know where we see a brilliant real-world solution to this every single day? Traffic lights. It's so smart. We all know red is on top and green is on the bottom. So even if you can't tell the colors apart, you know exactly what to do because of the position. And that's the big lesson for web design. You can never, ever rely on color alone to convey information. Okay, so I know what you might be thinking. This sounds hard. I'm not a math major, and I can't simulate vision deficiencies in my head. Well, here's the good news. You don't have to. What if you could fix a failing design with just a click? There are amazing tools that make this whole thing incredibly simple. Take the iColorPalette tool you see on screen. You just plug in your failing colors. It'll immediately show you the real-time vision simulator so you can see what it looks like to others. Then you just click one of its smart suggestions and boom, you have a compliant color pair. It's that easy. And this isn't just some gimmick or a random photo filter. These simulators use actual scientifically accurate models, they're called color transformation matrices, to show you precisely how people with different vision deficiencies see your work. It lets you step into their shoes and design with real empathy. So making your site accessible is clearly the ethical and right thing to do. But now the stakes are even higher. This is about legal requirements and, honestly, just good business. All around the world, digital accessibility is being written into law. In the United States, you've got the Americans with Disabilities Act, the ADA, and Section 508. The EU has its Web Accessibility Directive. Canada has the Accessible Canada Act. These aren't just recommendations anymore. They're legal mandates. So what's the big takeaway from all this? Simple. Meeting that WCAG AA level of compliance is now pretty much the standard legal baseline. That 4.5 to 1 contrast ratio we talked about, it isn't just a nice to have, it's fast becoming a must have. So I'll just leave you with this one final question. Take a good, honest look at your own websites, your apps, your digital products, and ask yourself, is this really built for everyone?